What up, everyone? This is your girl, Queen G here. You are tuned into the Chop Shop podcast. Light of Women's History Month, we decided to give the guys a day off today.
Much deserved, much deserved.
Yes. I have a special co-host sitting right next to me. I would like to introduce her, Lorraine Hernandez, a.k.a. wifey to DJ Jewels.
What's up, everybody?
So today we have some amazing, empowering women.
Yes.
Shout out to Justified for hosting the third year Queendom Awards nominees to Connie Williams and Tasha, She Nominal Champion. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you. How are you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Great to be here.
Thank you. So, growing up in this community, right, I've been here since kindergarten. And I come from my mom was a single parent with 5 little kids. And, there was resources out here in our community, but not like there is now, right? We were the kids that got the angel tree gifts in Christmas time. We were the ones being in line with my mom, and I remember helping her with all the little kids to get our gas bill paid, our light bill paid. But it was always like help that would be until the next paycheck type of help, right? And I feel like nowadays people are stepping out and giving that education and giving like, let me help you, help yourself. Let me set that foundation. So with that being said, and you guys being nominated for your community work and your advocacy, how did that come about? Is that something you guys grew up doing, or did it come later in life?
Would you like to start?
I would. That's fine. Thank you. That's a really good question, because I think a lot of times we don't know where to go for different resources. For me, I didn't grow up here. Okay. I moved here in 2014, and then 2 years later found out that I had triple negative breast cancer. Oh, wow. And I did that entire journey with just me and my 4 children. I didn't know anyone up here. My treatments were down the hill, and I didn't know anybody to turn to, go to, or anything. I decided to go to a breast cancer support group. And that's when I finally started meeting people out here. What I learned is that you got to be a part of something to find out what resources are available to you, because many people don't know. And because I was that person who didn't know what was available, I made it my mission for anybody that was diagnosed with any type of cancer up here, I wanted you to know what you had access to. Because if you don't know, you suffer in silence.
Right.
So it became very important to me to start there. As I got more into my coaching and wellness practices, I knew I was going to bring that to as many people as I could. Because you got to know those resources. Everybody can't go to a therapist based on insurance and things like that. Sometimes you are embarrassed by whatever you're dealing with or going through, and you need to have a face that you can turn to and go, hey, I'm going through this, and you need to know that that's going to be trusted.
Right.
And then if that person has other connections, you just spread out wide. And the more you can open your heart, the more doors you can open for other people to have those resources. I'm not going to gatekeep.
Yeah.
If I know it, you're going to know it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my journey was a little different. I'm an implant to the high desert.
Okay.
I was raised in Los Angeles, and I was raised by a single mother as well, with 3 girls. I remember going to bed with candles lit, because we didn't have lights for a few days until the paycheck came. And I remember, I hate beans right today, because my mother would go buy the beans out of the barrel, and we just had beans all the time, beans and rice. And so I'm not a bean person, but there were a lot of resources growing up. And when my mother lost the house that we grew up in when I was 18 years old, I saw my mother cry for the first time. And I saw her sit there, and she's going through the paper like, well, what did I miss? What did I miss? And that's when I wanted to go into real estate. And at that point, I just started working in the real estate industry. And one day, I was able to buy my mother a home. I co-signed, I put it in my name and walked away.
Amazing, yeah.
It's your home. And people, you say, you have a house in your name, go to it. No. It was seeing what she went through and learning about those different resources. Down in Los Angeles, I grew up with things called crystal stairs. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. Different things like that helped us out. Different organizations you can go to.
Right.
But by the time I was, in my 30s and I'm living in Lancaster and I'm a single mother, who do I go to for help? There was no one. The resources weren't there. But me being in corporate America in the mortgage industry, I was climbing the ladder. And when I finally got in a room where I'm the only minority, and I'm sitting here with VPs and executives who are making decisions about loans and people in the community, but you're going home to Brentwood. So how do you know what they're suffering from in South Central if you're going to Brentwood?
Exactly.
You don't understand. You're
Can't
making
relate.
decisions. And so I realized I was sitting there on a wealth of knowledge when it came to home ownership, but I wasn't sharing it. And who I was sharing it, they didn't deserve it. They weren't ready for home ownership. So in my mid to late 20s, I became an advocate. And it went from me advocating for home ownership to me being the president of the Lancaster
you
branch
go.
of the NAACP at 29 years old.
Yep.
Congratulations.
I fought with the white supremacy, the Palm Bill Peckerwoods, and all of them. Kevin McCarthy, he was my adversary.
Yeah.
I still don't like him. I say that on camera, but he a MAGA man. I'm sorry. But that's what started my advocacy. And I wanted to tell people how to get a home and get them into home ownership without all the red tape.
Yeah.
See, our cultures, we weren't taught how to buy a home.
Exactly.
We weren't taught what it takes. We were talked over. They talked over our heads. So it made us feel insignificant, made us feel like we don't qualify. Forget that.
Yeah.
Because if you really look at statistics, the majority of people on welfare in America are white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why are you trying to hold back the minorities who are making up the majority?
Yeah.
Right.
So my advocacy comes and my work comes in helping people. I want everybody to have home ownership.
That's amazing. And I was watching, there's all kinds of
Excuse me.
podcasts now when you're on Instagram and you're scrolling. And I seen something the other day, and it was a Hispanic podcast, and they said something, and it caught my attention. They were talking about how growing up, right, in both cultures, I know can relate. We were taught what not to do, and our bars were set low, kind of in a way, right?
Absolutely.
Like, girl, just get through high school. That's all you got to
Thank
do.
you.
Just
Get a
graduate.
trade.
Yeah, just graduate. That's all we want you to do. Just don't get pregnant and graduate. But really, and we were never told buy a house.
Yes.
Make sure you go to college. Those things were not instilled in us. And now I was just talking to my son, and I know we were talking about kids the other day because he's about to be 18 next year, and he was telling me his plans and stuff like that. And I said, you know what, son? That's great, and if that works out for you, the way you plan it, I'm all here for you. But give yourself grace if it doesn't.
Right.
Right? Because those things are going to happen. Failure is going to happen. It's just a matter of when, you know. But I think that's so important now is just teaching our culture and our kids that we could be in there too. Like you said, be in those rooms. We belong in those rooms. And when we get in those rooms,
We built those rooms.
it's game over,
Well, did you know in the
go.
60s, when the Civil Rights Act came out, especially the Housing Act of 1965, the gap between minority or black and Hispanic and white home ownership was 23% in America in 1965. In 2022, it was 27%. How much we've grown.
oh yes.
Yeah.
And
Most
we have
people do not
so
know
much
those
more to go.
statistics.
Yeah.
It should be 75%.
Yeah.
So my goal when I found that out in 2022 was to change that statistic to 75%, especially in the high desert.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Because there's too many old stogies still trying to control
Yeah.
my child's future.
Yeah.
Because see, my days of trying to do what the next generation will do, it's not over. It's for me to mentor to make sure that they
That
Right.
they know how.
they know how to do it.
And
And,
like
my
you guys-
son was taught the business.
Like you guys said, share what you know, right? Like I know it, but let me share it. Let me
Thank you.
tell you guys what to do, and show you guys how to get there. Because another thing that my son said was like, we bought our home maybe like 5 years ago, I think. But it's like we were exposed to certain things in our environment, right? And that's all we know. And then now we're surrounding ourselves around business people, around that's how we learn. But I said, you're going to be the next generation that you already know because we're showing you at an early age.
Yeah.
So it just goes generation to generation. I know women back then, our moms, single moms, I believe we
Yes.
all
All
came
of us.
from. And thank God for moms. Thank God for women
Yes.
because they wear so many different hats and just that woman in your life to show you that I got this all, you know. But then at the end of the day, and I love what you do. And I was reading your bio, and because we do got it all, but then, like you said, there's moments where we don't got it all. And then what do we do? And how do we fix that?
We hold it,
Who
we
do
still
look
hold
to?
it together.
Exactly.
And culturally, for Black and Hispanic women, that's what we've seen from our grandmothers, great grandmothers,
Yeah.
mothers. We saw them still hold it together
Yeah.
through tears, through pain. It didn't matter. They still kept going. There was no, hey, you probably should take a break, or
Yeah.
you should pause for a second.
Yes.
They didn't do all of that. So
Right.
then we grew up doing the exact same thing. Now, with my daughter,
Yeah.
please. She makes sure she is taken care of
Yeah.
first. And I believe
And there ain't
like
nothing wrong with
every
that.
8 to 12 weeks, a woman should go check herself into a hotel
Yeah.
and just completely disconnect and
Yeah.
reconnect to who she is, connect to her core and her spirit
Without feeling guilty.
without feeling guilty.
Right, because that's
the
a
key.
big part of it. Like there'll be
Yes.
times where we do that, and then we feel, because we're taught, you take care of your family first.
Thank
You're last. Like you said, your son was always fly, but you were last, right? And that's what we're taught, and there's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, you have to pour into yourself, because how are you going to pour into others?
Exactly.
And that's
Yeah.
that's why when I seen all your stuff that you do, I was like, oh wow, that's amazing, because I know self-care. I've never heard self-care the way I hear self-care
you hear it now.
nowadays.
Yeah.
You know, and some people could be like, but you should be with your kids, but you should be doing, who says who though?
Yeah.
Like, how am I going to give to people if I'm not 100%?
Right,
You know?
because
And
here's
that
the
goes
thing, you're
for men
still
and
a
women.
person, right? And I always like to remind people, you are not your titles. And I think for us as women, we tend to live behind our titles of mom, sister, friend, co-worker, whatever it is. And then we forget, like, well, who's Tasha?
Yeah.
Who's Connie? Who's Queen G?
Exactly.
You know,
And
who's Lorraine? We forget.
exactly. And who's there to help, fill up your cup when it's half empty?
Right.
You know? So that's another thing I wanted to ask you guys. Who's there to inspire you when you feel at that level?
My role models were not directly in my life. Honestly, I grew up very low self-esteem. I was judged a lot. I was bullied a lot, and I grew up with a different. I was loved, but it wasn't shown.
Yeah.
Okay, and I don't blame my mother. She was a strong woman, but she was raised by a man, so she didn't know how to be that loving, nurturing mother. So when we got our heart broke, it was, oh, pull yourself together. There's more fish in the sea.
Yeah.
But you want to sit there and cry? No. And eat ice cream? No, she wasn't like that. But I learned my son is my motivating factor. I tell everyone I was born again on October 29th, 1999. That's when I discovered true unconditional love, when they pulled that baby out of me and showed me that baby. And my whole focus in life changed. My drive, my motivation. You know, my career motivator has always been my grandfather. My grandfather was born August 8th, 1889 on the plantation. My great-grandfather owned him. And he died August 10th, 1990, 100 years old.
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
He taught me to always fight for the underdog, because they'll never have anyone fight for him.
Exactly.
So I always seemed to fight for the underdog. And I just pick myself up and look up to God and say, you know what, every day, keep me going. Because setbacks can set you back. But if you let a setback hold you back, I wouldn't be here today if I let one of those little setbacks hold me back.
I think for me, I had to come out of being so independent in order to accept support, to accept mentoring, to accept that I needed to have my cup full. Because again, we're so, well, I gotta do this, I gotta take care of this. And then for me, my ex-husband sat me and my children down and said he was no longer gonna be a father or a husband, and looked at us and told us he needed to restart his life as if he was never married or had children. And he was a great father. So now I'm all of a sudden 100% single parent of 4. So all I knew was I have to take care of them, take care of them, take care of them.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what allowing support looked like, because no one ever talked about it. I never saw somebody come and support my mom. I never saw somebody come and support my grandmother. right? So I just did what I thought I had to do. As I learned that I was worthy and valuable and that I could ask for support, that's where the mentoring started to come in, because I was allowing that space to come in and I was allowing people to pour into me without feeling like I was less than because they could pour into me, right? I don't want to be the smartest person in the room.
Right.
I want there to be someone that I can learn from. And there should always be somebody in a room that you can learn from. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Exactly.
If I'm in a space and I can't get my cup filled after I've poured out, I need to move on.
Yeah.
Because I need to go somewhere where someone is able to pour into me. But I also have to remember that sometimes I get to shut down and just be.
Yeah.
Right? If I feel that depleted, I need to just shut down.
Yeah.
And be okay with shutting down, like you said, not feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
And I think also too, we kind of have a common denominator here. You know, we've been single moms before. You know, I just heard, you know, our grandfathers, our grandmothers. So those generational curses, you know, unfortunately sometimes fall. But I know, like for myself, being a single mom, I was the strict person, the strict mom.
Me too.
You know, the very independent mom. And kind of, you know, stop crying, what are you crying for? But then again, you know, sometimes parents don't know how to apologize to their children.
Right.
I know I have to.
I do.
You know, because I felt like, you know what, I'm sorry, I should have never done this. You guys have, what are you guys mad about? You can tell me whatever you want. You're not going to get in trouble.
You know what? The key for me that I had to learn, because I did the same thing I saw growing up. I have 3 boys and a daughter. Anytime my boys cried, I was like, hey, quit crying like a girl. Shut that up. Man up. Right? So then when they became 13, 14, 15, and something was wrong, and then I'm like, tell me what's going on.
And they
They
shut
shut
down.
down.
They shut down.
Yeah.
Because I never showed them a safe space that I was a safe space for them to come talk to.
Yeah.
Right? But like you said, we just did what we thought
taught.
was right. We
Right.
didn't think boys were supposed to cry. We didn't think they were supposed to have emotions, right? So I would shut my sons down, and I had to really not only apologize to them, but atone by showing up differently
Yeah.
so that they could learn, I can trust her. If something is wrong, I should be able to go to my mom.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's just about being accountable, right? Like, that's the number one thing I learned when I met my husband, was how to be accountable. And girl, I did not like it. I was like, what did you think I did? Because I didn't do that. What? He was like, yeah, you did, girl. And I'm like, ugh. I hated it. But it grew me so much in all aspects, right? Because I learned, like, maybe I did do that. Maybe that was my fault, you know? And when I met him, my son was 3, I think. He's going to be 17. But yeah, I had to learn, like, through the environment, right? I learned the relationship, and the same thing, like I wasn't feeling worthy, obviously, if I was letting someone do those things and treat me that way and be in that relationship. And thank God that one day I woke up and was like, this is not it. I don't want to do this no more. I don't want to repeat what I went through for my son. Like you said, my son was like everything, and I was like, I want better for you. And if that means me being just me and you, then so be it.
Right.
You know, but thank God I met my husband, and he told me, you know, I would always say, not to my son, I wouldn't talk bad about his dad, but to my husband, I'd be like, oh, I went through this and I went through that. And he's like, yeah, but where was your part in that? And I was like, I didn't have a part in that.
That's life changing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it
life
was.
changing.
It was. And
You
I
gotta
was like,
own it.
What the heck?
Yeah.
But it opened my eyes to so much, even as a parent in my job, like being accountable. And that's something that we're big on. We have 3 boys as well. So that alone, I see how my older son is now, and he's good. I feel like he's accountable. He knows he's a man of his word. Like all the things that we have instilled in him, you know, because the kids are watching. And like you said, breaking generational curses, that's what it is. Every generation is supposed to get better and better, you know?
Yeah.
Your husband became your jewel, huh?
He did.
I always,
Vice versa.
now I tell, like with my kids, and my daughter brought this up, we stopped worrying about breaking generational curses, and now we focus on building generational blessings and generational habits. Because as long as we keep using the word curses, it follows us, right? But if we shift our mindset, like, hey, we could build new generational habits.
Yeah.
We can build new generational blessings. And so now, before I leave a curse behind, I'm leaving a blessing. The next generation gets to grow that blessing. And now we're changing the trajectory of what this is going to look like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's something that's important too, right? Because being in an environment and same thing, right? Same single mom and all the things that come with that, the poverty and not having things and going through things as a child, you know, that a lot of us experience, a lot of women and men experience. I feel like, I just lost my train of thought about that though, but I feel, the environment that you grow up in, sometimes people play victim to that.
Yes.
Right? And a lot of times people play victim and then they're an adult and they're like, yeah, but it's because my childhood and it's because this and that. And it's like, I love when I hear stories like your guys's, that you guys rose above that though. And you chose to not be a victim. Like, I'm going to do something better. I'm going to learn from that. And I'm going to show you that that doesn't define me, like you said.
Exactly.
You know, so I think that's amazing. And I know that you do women's retreats as well. How did that start?
Oh, Lord. It was something that I wanted to do for a very long time. So in 2020, when God told me I was going to write a book, and I was like, who getting ready to write a book? I don't know about all that. And I would go on to be the visionary author of the book, Phenomenal Women. And it's an anthology of 23 women who share their stories of how they were able to give up their excuses and make a way through life's challenging times. So there's addiction, there's assault, there's divorce, there's breast cancer, there's losing a child, there's all these different stories. And to be honest, when my publisher kept saying, get that word trademarked. And I spoke with a trademark attorney and she said, girl, I think you need to brand that. Not just let it be the name of your book. She was like, you need to be the phenomenal coach. You need to create things. Now, this is where people can pour into you when you are open. Because for me, it just would have been the name of a book. But it morphed into an annual brunch that sells out every year. This is my second year doing a retreat. I've always wanted to do a retreat. I've always wanted to bring women together because I love
They're
it.
fun, yes.
Right.
Inspiring.
And we need that space to disconnect from, no offense, y'all, from husbands, from children, from work, where you can go into a sisterhood and just connect with like-minded souls, right? So that's where that retreat came from, and I'm getting ready to have my second one in May.
Hey.
That Queen G
Look it
month,
up.
right?
May 10th, you guys.
So yeah, I love those spaces. So in addition to the retreats, I'll do other wellness, like I'll do a sister circle out here. I'll do sound baths and just different things so you get to connect with you and disconnect from the world for a moment.
Those are amazing.
Tasha doesn't realize how she pours into people.
Thank you.
At the breast cancer awareness event, I believe it was beginning the name of it this past year when you were
In
there.
October, yeah.
Okay.
They spoke about breast cancer awareness. After that event, I had my first mammogram.
Wow.
So yes, you got to me.
Wow.
You know, I never wanted to get a mammogram because growing up and the generational stuff you hear, oh, you're big breasted, you know you're gonna wind up with breast cancer.
Yeah.
I would hear that growing up. So it was the fear. You know, and when I went and everything came back okay, it's like, okay, you just big breasted. Nothing wrong with you.
Right. You still gotta listen. I always say you gotta smash the boobs,
But
right?
Yeah.
That's what she said. And she said it at that luncheon that day. Just take that little pain for 30 seconds, knowing that you're basically getting an answer to something. And my fear was, do I really have it? Am I gonna have it? Okay, I went and dealt with the pain and it wasn't as painful.
Right.
So, you know, I'm gonna even go to that right now with that subject. You were right. And that pouring into me and just talking to me for that 30 seconds of Connie, you need to get it done. You've gone too long. I mean, it's like you knew.
Yeah.
People do not realize people pour into you in so many different ways that can manifest in your life and help change your life. So now I know I'm going to get tested every year, and I'm going to keep making sure I get tested because of what she said to me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be in any pain. It's not like you're going to smash me and a baby going to squirt out.
Yeah, no.
Oh my gosh.
I was having all of these crazy thoughts.
Yeah.
But since I've been in the high desert, there has been so many great people that has poured into. You know, I did have to go through a journey where you have to meet the good and the bad. But in that journey, I met, one person that I met when I first moved up here, and I met him when I was doing this concert for a church. And I looked at this young man and I said, he's cool. I like him. It was just the way he got down. It was like, wow, he's going from here and there, helping people, making sure things get done. But behind the scenes, he wasn't being appreciated. So I never saw him again.
It wasn't. They weren't giving them honor where honors due.
Yeah, and I was kind of like, I never saw him again until last year, and it was justified.
Oh, wow.
And we sat down and talked for several hours. I don't know why. I was supposed to go there and leave, and it was cold, and I had on this little pin top. He didn't know I was cold the whole time. But we sat down and talked.
You know he gonna talk.
And and what I was hearing from him, he was pouring into me, and he didn't even know it. Because he was giving me the encouragement to step out of my comfort zone and to share what I know and to share what I'm able to do. And I dove head first into a collaboration with him, and it just expanded. But I was able to also say, okay, you know what? Here I am. Let me help everybody. And that's how she came about. That's how I met you guys, and I didn't have a lot of people pour into me. And I got a lot of my motivation through a lot of my reading too. Biblically. My idol was Maya Angelou, Stokely Carmichael, Malcolm X. I'm sorry, I'm not a Martin Luther King. I love him and he did great, but there were other leaders beside him, so I'm gonna acknowledge those. But I'm a big advocate for civil rights, and I'm a big advocate for everybody building that empire.
Yeah.
See, we don't just break generational curses. We bury generational curses, and we build a foundation for an empire on top of what we bury. See, I've always told my son, I'm showing you how to work the empire. I'm building an empire.
Right.
I told Justify one day, I walked in the house when my son was 16 years old. Bunch of little friends sitting up there. I walked in and said to myself, oh, heck no, these are some hard heads. I said, if none of y'all whoever ain't on the lease, get out. And I said to my son, I says, why are you sitting here with these common folk? I says, I am raising you to take over the palace, the empire. You do not deal with the common folk who don't want to do nothing.
Exactly.
You deal with people and interact with people who want to climb.
Yep.
Right.
I said, they don't want to climb. So I taught my son at 13 years old the mortgage and real estate industry. By the time he was 18, 19 years old, he was making $80,000 a year in the mortgage industry, learning a career, not a job, because I told him the difference between a job.
Right.
It's what we pour into people besides what's being poured into us. I knew I had to train this young black man not to be a statistic.
Right.
And she's done the same thing. You with your sons. We all minority mamas.
Yes.
We had to make sure that we didn't gonna pick our sons up from the jailhouse frequently.
Right.
Thank God. I know.
Okay? We didn't
I have daughters.
we didn't have to meet them in rehab
Yeah.
or put them in rehab. We were able to instill what we had in us, the positivity. And since I have been up here in the high desert, I have met more great people who aspire to do great things. I am glad I met Tasha.
Like
What Tasha can do for me is not monetary. I do not look at anything I gain from her monetarily, because I don't. The sisterhood and what she has poured into me, that little advice about breast cancer may have saved my life.
Right.
People don't look at the little things.
Yeah.
Tasha walks around with a spirit of giving. This entire Queendom event is about all women who have been resilient and given back to the community like yourselves.
Right.
Who knows, you may be the queens next year.
Yeah.
But we give back to the community. We love our families. We're like that man, that statue that holds the globe over his head.
Yeah.
But see, we got on a wig and some heels and nails.
So we look even better is what you're
Yeah.
saying.
Exactly, of course.
Makeup a little bit more polished, so but that's us. That's us. And like I said to my son, this is back in slavery days when the master and the slave hunters came to the door to get the husband because he wasn't chopping the cotton right. Who answered the door and what was the husband? The wife answered the door and the husband was hitting that back door so the slave catchers wouldn't catch him. He hitting the cornfields. My country came out, cornfields. But that's how we've been.
Yeah.
Your culture, come on now.
Yeah.
How many times a woman had to be in the forefront to protect the family?
Of course.
Yeah.
All the
And
time.
in history, they have placed men in an administrative or an authoritative role in the family and in society. But I'm sorry, it's women who's held it up. I see the women and the women leaders in the high desert lifting the high desert up in the next 3 to 5 years. We're going to lead this community. We're going to change this community because the men who have been in position have not done what they were elected to do.
Exactly.
Right.
You know, women like this needs to be put on a platform where she can help other women,
Yeah.
where she can help other families, because she has more to share than just that one story.
Right.
You know, you have other queens that are going to be on the panel, like Dr. Kanisha Allen, you know, Iris. You have other people who are valuable to this community, yourselves.
Yeah.
You know, what we need to do is reach back to what's coming up in our community, and that's our youth.
Yes.
Let's invest in them. Let's pour into them.
But I think first, one thing I like about the Queendom and Money Mondays and the other things that Justify has created here in the High Desert is in order to reach the youth, we have to become one first.
Yes.
Right? We all need to know each other first so that we can move in that direction. Because my power is not your power is not Dr. Kanisha's power, her power is not your power. We all have our lanes.
Yes.
And the more, if I can say, okay, I'm going to help this group do this, and then they move over to Connie, she's going to help them do this. They move over to you guys, you help them do this. Now we are we're taking our queen energy, our giving energy,
The resourcefulness.
our hearts,
Yes.
exactly. And now we are the ones that we needed when we were kids.
Right.
Now we've become that person that we can give to the youth. We can teach them, we can show them, we can give them direction, and that's what's important.
And I
Thank
think
you,
that's the
Tasha.
powerful part about women, right? Is we're natural nurturers.
Absolutely.
We're natural. Like, I mean, the man can make the table, but what the woman brings to the table, that's where it's at, right? So it's like, it works hand in hand. Like you said, there's a lot of men in position, but now women are getting those positions, and women are just, it's just amazing to see how far women have came over the years. And it's okay if you want to be a stay-at-home mom, and that's your. Me and my husband were just talking about that. Everybody's success is different, right? Some people are successful in that, and they love that, and they want. I couldn't do it. I'm not the PTA mom and all that. Like, I'm not. But I'm more in the business lane, and I like to be more. You know, I'm an independent woman, and that's one of the things that was kind of hard in the beginning. Was like my husband's independent, and I'm independent. So we were trying to figure out how to be dependent on each other. That's another thing that I know women struggle with, being independent, right? Like, we're so, like you said, we got this. I got it. I'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. But to have somebody to depend on is hard sometimes.
It is, because we've learned this behavior over and over and over again, especially when you are a single mom.
Yes.
And then someone comes along and there's a fear. And I'm speaking about myself. There's a fear of giving up some of that independence versus trusting that you will grow my independence and I will grow yours, and we'll do it together dependently as a partnership. Exactly.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's very hard to do because you're letting down those guards that you've put up because you're dealing with so much and you're doing it by yourself, right? So I commend you for
Thank you.
allowing that trust. But also I got to commend your husband, because the one thing that he did differently that somebody else didn't do is you were able to see, oh, he's a safe space.
Yeah. for
I can
sure.
trust my heart with him.
Yeah.
I can trust my words with him. And when a partner creates that space, it changes
Yeah.
you. It lets you go, oh, I could relax.
Yeah.
I'm good. Yeah.
It changes your whole thinking, your whole process. And I was thinking about this too, because I was thinking about, I knew already we were going to talk about our sons, right? Because I already knew that. But I was thinking about her daughter, because like she said, she raised 3 girls, and her daughter, I mean, you could talk about her, but she's amazing, right? How old is she?
Gracie, she'll be 28. So she actually works at Victor Valley High School. She's going to be graduating with her master's May 17th.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm so happy for her.
congratulations.
Congrats, Gracie.
Yes.
Congrats, Mom.
Thanks.
Yes. And Gracie.
Yes, and then I have another daughter named Gabby. She's a beautiful. I call her my baby mama because she gave me a beautiful granddaughter. She's 5, and then my baby, she's 23, Gigi. Yeah.
Yeah, and when I see her oldest daughter, I see that. I see independence. I see the culture. I see that she's not, kids nowadays are so different, and it's a good thing. And I feel like it's from social media. I don't know if you guys agree or not, but like back then, it was kind of like, okay, I know I'm going to graduate. I know I'm going to have kids. I know I'm going to get married. But now they're like, no, we're going traveling. We're going to the concerts. We're doing this and that, because they're exposed. It's all about your exposure and what you're around. And I feel like that's like, social media, people could say it's a bad thing, but I think it's done a lot of good.
Yeah, everything is in moderation is how you use it.
Exactly.
My daughter was 19 when she moved to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico.
Oh, wow.
By herself, on her own.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, I had to stop watching ID channel because I was like, okay, I cannot watch anybody else.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, oh my gosh, my baby is gone, and she's the oldest. But she was there for 3.5 years before she came back and was like, okay, now I'm ready to go to school.
Yeah.
I'm ready. She was
I got it out of my
repositioning
system.
herself. Exactly. But she was, like I said, she was there for 3 years. She worked. She toured, she traveled, she went to Colombia, she went to a number of places at a very young age. But it's exposed her to different cultures, to different environments. It opens up your mindset. And those things are important. And like you said, I do think social media plays a part in seeing oh, wait, I don't have to stay here.
Yeah.
I always tell people, if you haven't seen at least half of California, at least do that, because California has so much to offer.
Yes.
If you're not ready to go outside the state, go outside the country, at least go outside of your city.
Yeah.
2 hours you could be in, you could be surfing, you could go to Big Bear and ski. There's so much you can do, but it is important to get out of your regular environment, get out of your comfort zone, because that's the only place growth is going to happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
So besides the event that's coming up in May, what else is going on with Shinomino?
Yes. So September 20th is going to be my annual event. I have the Shinomino Women's Brunch. This year, because we are celebrating 5 incredible years, I'm doing an evening gala. So all dressy, I'll have
Let
the
us know.
Shinomino.
Fancy.
Yeah, I'll have the Shinomino Awards, which the awards will be named after Shinomino women that are in my life. Okay. So they'll be presented with that, and then going forward, those awards will be named after them. That's going to be in going to be in September. And then I'm also getting into being able to do wellness events for corporations and organizations, because especially after COVID, a lot of companies started creating budgets for someone to come in and do wellness events for their workers. If you don't know how to balance work and life, and really the thing is that, are they always 100% balanced? No, but you have to know what to do if one is taking too much of your time, if one is pulling you, if one is causing more stress. You have to know what to do within yourself to woosah.
Yes.
And know how to get back to it, right? So just working with different organizations to bring those wellness events into different companies, and working with women, of course. And up here in the high desert, I'm starting my sister circles back in spring. So in April. Yeah, and it's just a monthly gathering where women come together, that safe space. Usually there's a topic, we talk about it, we do some type of activity or exercise. Usually have a snack because we all want to
all
eat
love food.
something. We all love food, yes. But again, it's
bring
just
her a meal.
yeah. But I think it's important for women just to always have that connection with other women. And so I just want to continue to grow creating those safe spaces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she does.
I have a question for Connie, because we talked about like work-life balance and how that is, and I have a question for you because I feel like it's something that I kind of go back and forth, and I just on the business side of it, I wonder how that works for you. Like, you're obviously getting nominated for an award and all that you do in the community, right? And that's such an honor just for somebody to acknowledge you, like you said, for somebody to take the time out and be like, I see your hard work, I see your dedication, I appreciate that. That just goes such a long way. But do you ever have like times where does that have like an awkward moment for you when you're like, I don't want the light on me? Or are you like, no, I did that. I did the hard work. Thank you. You know, like how does that work for you?
I don't know why I'm in a panel with such an extraordinary women.
Because you're deserving? You know,
But you guys, I look at what they do, and I'm humbled because this is what I wake up to do. You know, I don't have a husband. I'm married to that laptop that I slide under the pillow, and this motivates me to do more. That's all it does. You know, I'm with such phenomenal women. Phenomenal one, no, number one, and the other ones are phenomenal. But phenomenal and phenomenals.
Yes.
And I feel like I need to up my game. And they're telling me, no, you don't need to up your game. But it's more that I can do that I need to be doing in a community that I haven't done yet. There's more work that I want to do, especially with these women.
Yes.
You know, even with the chop shop, even with Jules.
Awesome.
Yes.
There's so much work I want to do, but it's not enough hours in a day, and I get frustrated.
Yes.
Work-life balance, there is none. So when she's talking about it and you guys talking about it, I feel extremely guilty.
Yeah.
Because I don't take that time out for myself. But I feel like if I don't do what I'm doing, who else is going to do it? I got to keep pushing. I got to make sure things get done.
Yes, you do, but my love.
Don't start.
Here's the thing. You can do all the things for us, but we also need Connie to maintain good health,
Exactly.
to maintain good habits. We don't need to be working with you and then you collapse somewhere because you have not had a nap or because the laptop is under the pillow, right? Like, it's important to pause, and it is okay
I know.
to put the laptop down, grab that remote control, and, you know, have a Netflix and chill, Hulu and chill, whatever. Those days are just as important as the days that you are working to create those spaces for women to grow their business and their impact. We appreciate you, but I just want to make sure that I can keep appreciating you because you're doing all the things that you're supposed to do.
And that's why I asked the question, right? Because so many women are in that same boat where they're like, if I don't do it, who's going to do it? I have to do it. I have to be on top of my game. I have to
Think
do
about
this.
it.
I have to.
I was
you know?
raised with one terminology or one phrase. An idle mind is a devil's workshop. I can't be idle 5 minutes. That's what that's how I was built.
That's what instilled
Right.
in you.
I can't let any grass grow under my feet. I got to keep moving.
Yeah.
Things has to get done.
But remember, I'm gonna go into Tasha moment. Remember, all seeds grow from darkness.
Why you got to hit me like that on the podcast? And I got you know who my bro over there standing up and looking at me.
Because you have to remember, you get to remember.
You're right. You're right.
When you plant a seed, the next day it's not a plant.
No,
Right.
it takes time.
It takes time. So you have to, the same way you would nurture this plant is the same way you have to nurture yourself. That seed needs water. It needs sunlight. It needs to be spoken to with love. You need care. You need to speak to yourself with love. You need the sunshine. You need fresh air. You need all the same things.
You're right.
So the same way you would nurture something else so that it can grow beautifully is the same way you have to nurture yourself. And
right.
you have to allow people to nurture you that way as well.
You know, that's one thing she knows I don't
Yeah.
allow.
That's the powerful thing about when women get in a room, right? Because I this is the first time we met you guys, but hearing things, and we keep hearing about when women get together, you learn and you do all these things, right? But learning could be in so many ways. Like you can learn that you need to pause.
Yeah.
You can learn that you need to slow down. They can learn on the business aspect of you. Like everybody brings something to the table.
Right.
And it's just for us to be like, okay, I want some of this on my plate. I want some of this on my plate. You know, and that's the beautiful thing. I went to I'm part of a union at work. And I went to a women's, it was called Women is Still for a week. And oh my God, being in that room, just the first, it's just like being at church on a women's retreat.
Wow.
Being in that room, a room of women that's praying, there ain't nothing like that.
Right.
You know, being in a room with women that are inspiring each other and saying, hey, I mess up too. I know I know it's all polished and everything, but I still have those days where I struggle. I don't want to get up. I don't want to answer the damn email. I don't want to give a response today, but I have to. You know, but I just think that just goes, you can learn in so many ways. And maybe that's your season right now, is just
Right.
growing and pouring into yourself.
And little does she know that she inspires me.
Oh my
She
gosh.
really does.
And she
I'm not gonna start
inspires
crying
me. She inspires
But
me.
yeah.
I wanted that because when I was going through my divorce and I first asked my youngest sister, I was just like, I just don't feel like myself. And her response was, well, that's why you got a mother and a sister. So then I felt like, okay, no one's listening. And then I told a friend, I was like, I feel like I need therapy. Girl, black folks don't go to therapy, they go to church. So guess what I did? Like, that's what we're taught. So guess what I did? I went back into my shell.
Yeah.
I went back to bed.
Yeah.
I would take my older kids to school, put my baby in the bed with me, and I would just lay down. I didn't know until later on that was depression.
Yes.
I didn't know that then. That wasn't a word that floated around.
so it's
And I'm the
taboo.
happy-go-lucky one, right? I'm always
No.
smiling.
Yeah.
But it took for me, it took for really God, let me not say me, it took for
Yeah.
God to say, something has to change or you're going to keep living like this.
Yes.
And that's when I reached out to a lady that I had met. And because I asked God, I was like, well, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
And that was the person I needed to call. They didn't judge me. They didn't shame me. They taught me about me.
Yeah.
They taught me about my gifts. She taught me to hold myself accountable. Right? And that was not easy.
Those hurt.
I'm too bossy and controlling. You want to tell me I got to be a... Wait,
Yes.
I did what now?
Yeah.
I don't think I did that, but I probably did. Right? Like, we learn those things.
Yeah.
And the reason why I got quiet and I went back into my shell is because I didn't know what a safe space was. I don't want another woman to feel like that.
Yeah.
I need her to know what a safe space is. I need her to know that, yes, you can come here and we can have this conversation. And guess where this conversation is going to stay? Right here.
Yeah.
I'm not about to go blast it on social media.
Yeah.
I'm not going to wait till you mad and then go tell somebody else.
Exactly.
There are people right now that I don't talk to and I still know everything about them.
Thank you.
And no one else knows
Because
what
that's your
they
Thank you.
character.
Exactly.
It is my character and my integrity.
Yeah.
Right? But it's important that we begin, like you just said, she inspires me every day. Did she know that?
She tells me
Right.
all the time.
I tell her all the time, don't cry, Lorraine.
We get to really create that.
Yeah.
Where we can look at another woman and go, girl, you are inspiring me.
Yeah.
I told her, I said, I love the way you cheerlead for other women.
Yeah.
We were at a few back-to-back events where other women were being celebrated. And I mean, she was probably the loudest one. Because she was cheering them on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's
we need
genuine.
to have that. Exactly. We need to have that because there's too much woman-to-woman hate.
Yeah, or
Yes.
competition.
Or competition.
Yeah.
I'm in competition with the mirror.
Yeah.
Only thing I need to do is be better than I was yesterday.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I want to celebrate everybody else, right?
And I love celebrating everybody else.
But I celebrate me too.
I'm gonna celebrate me, but see, you know what? Like she said, the hate and how we women we do things against each other.
Yeah.
Even when I'm cheerleading for everyone else, she knows at the time. There are certain women that probably were in that room that wasn't cheering for me,
Right.
who hadn't been cheering for me, or who had already hurt me. But guess what? When you stand up to get your award, I'm gonna cheer for you just as loud as I cheered for the next one.
And that goes back to character, right? It's all
Yes.
about how you portray yourself. You can do me dirty, but at the end of the day, I know who I am, and I'm gonna
Exactly.
be that way regardless of what you do. That doesn't reflect me, and it will never reflect.
Exactly.
Thank you.
You know.
So
That's that queen energy.
Yep.
You know, like I don't
Royalty.
have to poop. Right. I don't need to poop on you to
Yeah.
make
I
me
don't got
smell
time
better.
for that.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't.
Yeah.
Because if I'm having a difference with you, I will forget.
Yeah.
And walk up to you and say, "Hey, how you doing?" And you may be stiff and
Look all
and then
weird.
I'll walk
Yeah.
away thinking, why was their energy off? And I'm like, oh, we're supposed to be mad at each other.
Yeah.
I forgot we were enemies.
Yeah.
Because I don't carry that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Every woman is beautiful to me, and every woman has a gift and a purpose. God didn't wake us up this morning just to be.
Yeah.
So live that purpose, walk in that purpose.
Yeah.
She walks in her purpose. I've learned to walk in my purpose. You walk in your purpose.
Yes.
And we have to make sure that walking in our purpose, we don't walk on each other.
Exactly.
We support and uplift each other, because the only thing we're going to do is hold each other down. So I love the Queendom event. I love the queens I'm around.
Yes.
I love the people I've come to embody as my own little personal family. You know, in my heart. She doesn't know where she sits in my heart, but she does occupy a vast amount of space. You know, and with that, I give her respect, adoration.
That's amazing.
Because I love you too.
Well, I think we need to give ourselves a hand of applause
Yes.
for us women.
Yes, we should.
Yes.
Every day, all day.
I love you guys.
Thank you.
I love you guys.
We want to thank you, ladies, for coming out to be with us today. We hopefully will start doing a little bit more of these women once a month interviews.
Yes. Who run the world?
Yes. Hey. So where can we find you on social media?
On Instagram, it is the Phenomenal Coach. On Facebook, it is Tasha Phenomenal Champion. You can find me at phenomenal.com to find out all of the incredible things that I am doing, all the incredible things that I am a part of. And when all else fails, find me at Money Mondays.
There you go.
Connie?
Miss Connie.
Same thing here. You can find me at Money Mondays, the last Monday of every month. I am also the Development Director for Group Economics. And I am also, you can reach me through groupeconomicsllc.com or chancescommunity.com. That is my own company.
Okay.
When I left the bank last year, instead of being able to offer one product, I'm able to offer a vast amount of products. So you can reach me at chancescommunity.com or Group Economics, or just groupeconomicsllc.com. Or show up at Money Mondays at Cosmos the last Monday of every month.
In
All
person.
right.
5 to 8
In person
p.m.
and direct.
Yes. Well, we want to thank you guys again.
Yes, thank you.
for being here with us. We want to thank Justified for introducing us to
Yes.
you. We want to thank Rafa Studios for having us again. You guys, don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms, Urban Soul TV, YouTube, all of them.
All the things.
Yes.
All of them. See you guys later. Thanks for being with
Thank
us.
you.